Welcome back to another video on the Hazer channel. This is going to be episode 1 of a new series where I go through different categories of items, so things like potions, ammunitions, PK items, stuff like that, and ranking the items in those categories in terms of how good they are for flipping from S tier to F tier. I saw that you guys kind of liked the tier video that I put out about a week ago, so I figured I'd start making some more of them, so let's get into it. To start things off, we have adamant arrows. I'm just going to go ahead and put these right into D tier just because the margin is never really over 4 GP just because how cheap they are. So even if you manage to get lucky and get a 5 or 4 GP margin, you'll only make about 40k max on those. So I'll put those in D tier for now. The adamant darts I'm going to put in the C tier just because they're pretty much the same as adamant arrows, except these can sometimes have a larger margin, but again, that margin isn't too high compared to a lot of these other items, and they also don't flip as fast. Next on the list are cannonballs. I'm going to put these in B tier. I was going to put them in A tier, but you don't make too much money off of these. These I'm going to put in B tier just because they have a smaller margin most of the time, ranging from like 5 to 7 GP, but I'm putting them in B tier just because you can literally flip these within like 15 seconds. They'll buy instantly for, let's say, 160 GP, and you can sell them instantly for 163. So it's just super quick and easy profit. Probably the fastest flipping item in this list, but just doesn't have too big of a margin. Next up, we have dragon arrows. I'm going to put this in the C tier just because this item is kind of difficult to find enough of them to buy. A lot of the times the margins are pretty good. You can find upwards of 100 GP or so for these, but it's just that not a lot of people sell and buy these. The only people that do are people that dark bow PK or things like that, but they'll only buy maybe 50 maximum at a time, so you can't find too many of these on the market, but the margin is pretty good, so I'll put that in C tier for now. Amethyst broad bolts I'm going to put in the B tier. They're kind of like cannonballs, just with a bigger margin. You can get upwards of anywhere between 5 and 20 GP margin on these, and they flip relatively quick. They're not as fast as the cannonballs by any means, but they do flip within 5 to 10 minutes, so it's pretty good, easy profit. Next up, we have the dragon dart. I'm going to put this in C tier for pretty much the same reasons as the dragon arrows. You can get really good margins on these, anywhere from like 100 to 200 GP even, but it just takes a while to buy and sell them just because there's not that many going through the market at this point in time because they're not used for too much. The dragon javelins I'm also going to put in C tier. As you can see, there's a theme with all the dragon items being put in C tier. They usually have super good margins, but the time to buy and sell them takes a little longer. The dragon throne axe is actually going to go in D tier. The margins aren't usually that good, and you cannot find many buyers or sellers of this. Pretty much the only people that use this are people who use a couple of them during PK runs, or people that are using one of them to get through the Dagganoth caves. So D tier for the dragon throne axe. Now we're kind of getting to the enchanted bolts. I'm going to put emerald bolts in C tier. This is probably the worst of the enchanted bolts to flip just because they cost the least, so the margin is the smallest, but they also aren't really used for much. So even with such a small margin, you can't really buy and sell these as fast as the other bolts. Ruby bolts are probably going to go to the B tier. Ruby bolts enchanted, not just ruby bolts. This is because they have larger margins than the emerald bolts, but they also buy and sell quicker than the emerald bolts. So B tier for the ruby bolts. I was thinking about it. I'm going to move the Dragon Throne Axe to F tier. It's actually unflippable, to be honest, unless you want like 5k profit. It's not very good, so I'm changing it and I'm putting that into F tier after second thoughts. Next up, we have the Onyx Enchanted Bolts. I'm going to go ahead and put that in A tier just because the margin is pretty massive on those. You can get upwards of 300 GP for margins on the Onyx bolts, but they also sell and buy somewhat quickly. You can probably flip these within 10 to 15 minutes for upwards of 100,000 GP profits, even higher than that if you get lucky. So A tier for the Onyx Enchanted Bolts. Rune arrows are also going to go in A tier. This is for similar reasons for the cannonball, but these usually have a consistent 5 GP margin, and you can sell them pretty instantly. So it's pretty much a 50k profit every 4 hours. I love to flip these. They're super quick and easy. The rune darts, however, aren't as easy. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put rune darts in C tier and actually move the adamant darts down to D tier, just because the rune darts is pretty much just a better version of the adamant dart to flip. It's got slightly bigger margins and it buys and sells quicker. So I'll put the rune dart in C tier. It's nothing special, however. That's why it's in C tier. The last item on the list is the enchanted diamond bolt. I'm putting that in S tier for sure. If you've watched some of the videos on my channel, you'll see that my first money making method involved investing in these just because they're so good and the price fluctuates a lot. So they're super easy to flip. These usually have at the minimum a 10 GP margin, and it can go up to 20, and you can buy 11,000 of these per 4 hours, and they buy and sell super quick. So definitely S tier for the diamond bolts. Probably my favorite item in the game to flip, not just for ammunition, definitely in the game to flip. I would recommend doing these on any flip run that you do, or just check out my investing video to see how you can make 20% of your cash stack back within 2 weeks. It's super good, super helpful. So that is going to be the tier for ammunition in RuneScape. If you guys have any other items that are in the ammo category that you think I should include in this list, just let me know in the comments. If this helped you at all, leave a like on the video. And I was also thinking maybe as a sideline series for this one, maybe I could just do flip runs just using these items. That kind of goes along with these tier videos, just so you can actually see the items in action, see the flips and how much money they usually make. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.